of playoff basketball in Portland. Blazers and Thunder and Damian Lillard. My goodness, 34 points in the first half. Sets the franchise record for points in a half of a playoff game, and they lead by one, trying to close out the Thunder 61-60. American Express halftime report. Ernie Johnson with Kenny, Shaq, and Charles. American Express teammates. We're going to make Dame your teammate on this one, Charles, because you have the record for points in a first half in a playoff game with 38 against Golden State.
Well, Chris Webber pissed me off if he made that Nike commercial.
I know, you had 56 that night.
He dunked on me and made a commercial, see Webb, and I had to give you a little reminder. I'm Chuck Barkley.
Oh,
but
you had to.
You know who I am.
But Dame Lillard with 34, and he has 34.
That's the ball.
Pass the
Man,
ball.
listen, tell him I was on fire.
Well,
when you're on fire like that, what you got to do?
I wish you would have had 40. You'd be like, hey, I tried to get 40.
Chris made that Nike commercial, and I had to send him a little message. Don't be making fun of me in no commercial, see Webb.
Well, you got a breakdown of Dame Lillard in the first half. A lot to see.
Before you succeed, you must first learn to fail. And for the last 2 years, he has failed. He's been knocked out in the first round the last 2 years. Listen, this is a closeout game. He's saying, give me the ball, let me go to work. And I like this game. Usually when I watch him play, it's all that. It's all threes, all jumpers. But he's mixing up right there. Put his head down, knock the defender off, pull up right here, doing all the little stuff. If you can get easy points like this, then you will have 34.
Going around them like they're not there.
The only thing I'm nervous about, because when you have a hot first half, it's three things that are left to do. You can have more than 34 in the second half, you can have less, or you can have the same. So if he can get 68 tonight, or if he can get 70, if he can get 80.
Great analogy.
No, listen.
Yeah, more. You can have less.
It's true. He got 34 in the first half.
Okay, he got 34.
Okay, if he does
got more,
the
less
same,
or
hold on.
I know.
If he does the same, he'll end up at 68. If he get more than 34 in the second half, he'll have 78.
Has anybody ever had that in the history of basketball?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
Three things can happen. You can get more, get less, or stay the same. All right.
He can end up 40, 50, 60, 70, or 80.
And he's done that while C.J. McCollum has had 2 points and 3 fouls in the first half.
Yeah, CJ is the reason why I think he took more shots as well, because if you looked at everyone, maybe with the exception of Cantor, everyone else on the team is about where their shot load is at.
Right.
Overall, though, the one thing I was looking at is, you went on that side. Paul George has been very efficient. I've been saying now, bring him into the game.
No, I'm good.
And I thought he was bringing him.
There was Chuck's chance.
You could have got me,
Chuck.
Chuck, you would have won. Because I sure wasn't looking that way.
Chuck.
I sure was.
I'm going to get you soon, Kenneth.
Oh, well, anyway, Paul George, I was like saying, the one thing that he has to do is take advantage of his size and his athleticism, and he really hadn't. I don't know if it was because he was hurt. It's 3 things going to happen, Ernie. He could have been hurt, he wasn't hurt, or he could stay the same. One of the 3. But Paul George had to do something. He had something different. So right here in the post, freeze it here. I want him to take. You have McCollum on you. He's a smaller guard. You don't have to make any moves. The defense is ready. Just rise up over him, take that shot. So now you're just putting pressure on the defense without taking a dribble, without taking a shot, without using your dribbles or using your dribbles. But now, if you freeze it. You know what, Ernie? First time in the playoffs, I'm going in the screen. Oh, yes, and I'm here in the great city of Portland, Oregon. And hey, Billy, man, I'm playoff Ken. This playoff P over there. We got to get him off. We got to figure out a way to go. Because, look, over here, they're putting this wall. They're playing a wall, so make sure our guy Paul George doesn't get off. And they got a defensive player here. So all of a sudden, it looks like a 3-2 zone. But then he has the creativity. Tell him to go away from the pick. Don't always come to the traffic. Go away from the traffic. Score the basketball. Get us going. Be aggressive, because this is a do-or-die game. Get me out of here. Go ahead, get me out of here. Buckets! Buckets!
I wondered if you had thrown your mic away.
No, I was getting my stuff over here, Ernie.
Excellent shoe game tonight, by the
Oh,
way.
thank you. Thank you.
Very nice.
Oh, this is just. I had to bring this from. I had to brought this from Portland.
That's Cologne.
That's
Portland.
That's the Ron Sloy
There
really
you go.
tan.
Ernie, he
Portland
said to give
tan.
this to you, Ernest.
Yeah.
This is for you.
He sent us a bunch of this earlier this year.
It's the really tan Ken.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man, that stuff
tan
stinks.
Portland tan.
That stuff
Cologne.
stinks.
How's it smell?
Oh, that's
Hey, what? One thing about that. Oh, Ernie.
Oh, you ain't gonna want to smell that.
Hey, one thing about that.
Smell like potpourri.
I know.
Potpourri. Potpourri. Oh, my God. Potpourri.
No potpourri.
Hey, you can never
Black
rob.
people say potpourri.
You can never rob a bank. They'll smell you before they see you.
Oh, God.
Only
Hey.
two things can happen now. We can either stay here or we can go to break. We're going to go to break. Back with more on the American Express Halftime Report. Oh!
That
at
go
this.
really tan Ken.
Yeah.
That's sweet. That tie. I like that yellow.
I
like that.
Bumblebee, big bird yellow suit on. I like
I
that.
like that. That nice little green in that tie.
Ron sent us a message, so I'll share that with you
I
guys
don't believe
later.
you laughed at my analysis. Out of all people, I thought you would understand.
You can do three things. More, less, or the same.
Or less.
I know.
34 or the same.
And that's why I was laughing about it. What are they doing to you, Jet?
They're
I
Alex.
like your eyewear.
I do too.
What do you say getting ready for a science experiment?
A what?
You say it look like Ken is getting ready.
A what?
That's what it meant.
Welcome to the American Express Halftime Report. American Express, the official card of the NBA.
One of the greatest guards in NBA history, the one and only Isaiah Thomas, right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News, doing an outstanding job, by the way, on TNT and the NBA TV, calling some of these games, covering and giving his analysis. And I would encourage everybody to go to NBA TV anytime he and Kevin McHale are on together. They were doing an outstanding job throughout the regular season, just giving basketball lessons on a weekly basis, for crying out loud. Let's transition to the Eastern Conference for a second, because obviously one semifinals matchup is set up, Isaiah. We've got the Greek Freak and Milwaukee, obviously with an exceptional job being done by Budenholzer as the coach, going up against a Boston Celtics squad led by Kyrie Irving. We had a debate on First Take this morning. I said Kyrie Irving is more important than the Greek Freak, because as phenomenal as the Greek Freak is, you look at the team around him and the exceptional coaching job that Budenholzer has done this year, and you juxtapose that to the Boston Celtics and what we've been seeing from them. I think Kyrie is everything, whereas as awesome as the Greek Freak is, I think Milwaukee could do some damage even without him. To that, you say what?
I say that's accurate, and not only is that accurate, I agree with it. And I look at what Kyrie is doing these playoffs, and you have to say that the lessons that he learned in Cleveland from playing with LeBron James, statistically, he's playing a very similar game to the way that LeBron played, in terms of not only being the shot maker, but also being the facilitator and being the ball-dominant person, deciding on each and every offensive possession who gets the shot, who takes the shot, and where it's taken from. And that's how LeBron James played with him. That actually frustrated him for a long period of time, and why he wanted to move and have his own team. And now that he has his own team, he's playing a very similar game and style to the way LeBron James played, in terms of dominating the ball. And you look at the statistical numbers that he's put up, he's having his best playoff series because of the way he's chosen to play. And it's actually benefited Boston, in my opinion, the way Kyrie Irving is playing. On the other side of the table, when you look at Milwaukee, Giannis, to me, he's the most unique player that we've ever seen in the NBA. Not only because of his skill set, but also because of his attitude. You know, this is a dude who says, I'm not going to settle for the three-point shot. I know y'all say I need to shoot the three a little bit more, but Stephen A., he acts like you and I would act if we were big men. Every time we got the basketball, if we can dunk on you, we going to dunk on you. And that's how Giannis is playing with that attitude. He's not selling it. Every chance he gets to try to get to the lane and dunk on you, that's exactly what he's doing. And he's doing it with a force, and he's doing it in a way that really is unstoppable right now.
But I got to tell you, Zeke, I mean, I picked Boston at the beginning of the season, although I wouldn't bet my money on them now because Milwaukee looks so formidable on both ends of the floor, I might add. And then you got three-point shooters like the Lopez's of the world. You got Bledsoe performing. You got Mirotic back. You got a situation where Brogdon's about to be back. It's hard to pick against Milwaukee. But I will say this, I'm not trying to jump off the boat that I've been on, which was the Boston Celtics from the beginning of the season. Here's what I will say. If Boston is going to win this series, they got to shoot the ball the way they shot the ball in the first round, with Horford shooting threes, with Kyrie shooting threes, with Jaylen Brown, our boy, shooting threes, with Jason Tatum. They've got to beat you from the perimeter because the one game they beat Milwaukee this year in the 3 meetings, they were outscored in the paint by 40 points, but they hit 24 three-pointers. Is there another way that Boston can beat Milwaukee in this upcoming series?
I think it's going to be difficult for Boston to beat Milwaukee. And the reason why I say that is because, what you alluded to in terms of Bledsoe, the way he's playing and the confidence that he has right now. Last year, I thought in the playoffs, he had a rough playoff series. And he did not play well. As a matter of fact, he would tell you that he really stunk up the place. I look at what he's done thus far this season and the way he's bounced back as a player and as a man. And again, I look at maturation and how you mature and develop intellectually as a player as much as I do physically as a player. And where he's at right now intellectually in the game in the playoffs, he's in a really good spot. So I look at him to be a difference maker in the playoffs. Also, the thing that I question about Boston, and Stephen A., you know this from playing team sports, the trust factor that they have with each other with the Celtics right now is very fragile. And when you're trying to beat a team in the playoffs, the thing that you're really trying to do is break the teammates' trust and confidence within each other so they won't be able to execute their game plan. And when I look at Boston right now from a trust and confidence standpoint, they're very fragile. And 1 or 2 losses can really break their trust or their ability to communicate with each other to execute the coach's game plan. And that's what I think Milwaukee will try to exploit, their trust and their confidence level within themselves.
So you got Milwaukee winning this series?
I have Milwaukee winning the series, yes.
Isaiah Thomas right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Houston losing to Utah last night, big deal or no big deal?
I think that's a big deal. I really do. The closeout games, they say, are very difficult to win. And they're difficult to win because when you got that person down and you got your foot on his neck, if you don't snap it and you let him get up and now he's got new life, that's a dangerous fight. And if they go to Houston and trying to win a closeout game at home, those are difficult too, because the opponent coming in, he has nothing to lose, so he's going to lay it all out. And if Houston plays a little tight, they can find themselves, believe it or not, seeing a 7-game series. So if they don't close out, it's going to be problematic. And I think Utah winning in Utah the other night, that was a big win, and Houston better be ready to win Game 5.
But what about the manner in which they defended Harden, playing right off his left hand? I thought it was smart on Quinn Snyder's part because basically you're taking away his left arm. You're forcing him to go to the hole as opposed to launching the threes, even though he made 50% of them last night. Basically, that's what you've been trying to do. And essentially, you've been trying to turn Mike D'Antoni's team into a 2-point scoring team as opposed to James Harden doing what he wants and launching the threes. I think that's significant. What about you?
It absolutely is, and that's the way you beat Houston. Houston has 3 ways to score. They use the 3-point line, they use the free throw line, and they shoot layups. Now, if you can take one of those away, if you can reduce their effectiveness from the three-point line and force them into a free throw game and a layup game, the way their offense is set up, they can't score enough points to beat you if you're playing well. What Utah and what most teams do are trying to do is use all 5 areas of the court. When you use the three-point line, layups, free throws, and then you use post-game and mid-range, now you have 5 ways to score as opposed to 3. And I think what Utah did effectively last night and the night before, even though they lost game 3, game 3, I thought they took away the three-point line from Harden. And when you give Houston only 2 ways to score, they're not as effective as they are when they use the three-point line.
Zeke, I got to get on out of here, but I got to ask you a quick question real quick for a quick answer. Does Philly close out Brooklyn tonight?
Yes. How's that?
Oh, that works for me. Always. What about Denver and San Antonio? Is this going 7?
I think this goes 7. I think Denver wins here tonight. San Antonio wins game 6, and I think they come back here for a game 7.
Wow. Zeke, appreciate you, man. Keep up the great work, man. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule. You can go back on that treadmill now, bro.
All right, thank you.
One and only Isaiah Thomas right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. That was Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage in America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. We'll get to your calls on these NBA playoffs and on what I had to say about Odell Beckham Jr. and Dave Gettleman before PJ Carlissimo calling tonight's OKC Portland game comes on the show with us to start off hour number 2. Stick around, don't touch that dial. It's the Stephen A. Smith Show.